One of the things I thought I would never see happen in my lifetime, well, two things. A Kennedy supporting a Republican. I never thought I'd see that. Or Roe versus Wade being overturned. During my whole life, well, since I was a kid anyway, Roe versus Wade was the law of the land. That's how it is. It's not going to change. The Supreme Court has ruled, and pro-life groups, that used to be their number one objective, overturning that bad legislation. And it was bad. Forget about the abortion issue if you think it's wrong or if it's right to have an abortion. It's just not constitutional to be decided at a federal level. The Constitution is very clear. Here's what we cover at the federal level, like the right to have free speech, the right to bear arms. Abortion's not in there. And the Constitution says, hey, if we don't discuss it here in this document, it goes to the states, because this should be a country made up of individual states that decide policies. And Arkansas may decide things different than California. So legally, forget about the morality of abortion. It was bad constitutional law. And then there was a moral aspect to it too, no doubt about it. But for decades, people on the pro-life community, they marched, they protested at Planned Parenthood, they raised millions of dollars. And good for those people, but it didn't do shit. Didn't do shit to actually save any babies' lives at all. It really didn't. Then Donald Trump, of all people, from New York City, not really that devout of a Christian. He says he's a Christian, but you know his lifestyle. He comes in and says, hey, I understand this. The abortion is pretty bad. If you vote for me, I'll tell you what. I'll make sure I have Supreme Court justices that overturn Roe versus Wade and put it back at the state level where it belongs. And everyone, including myself, said, yeah, they all say that, but there's no way that Trump can make this happen. And he did. He did 2 years ago. He finally, we saw the results of it. Roe versus Wade, one of the most evil Supreme Court decisions in history, that Roe versus Wade was evil. And this Supreme Court overturned it and it put it back to the states where it belongs constitutionally. So of all the people that fought for pro-life causes, no one has done more practically, not just theoretically giving nice speeches, but actually saving baby lives. Donald Trump has done more than anyone, I think, in the history of America of saving babies' lives in a practical fashion. And for that now, he's getting shit on by pro-life people because he's not going far enough. And they're starting this whole meme. Well, if you're Trump, if you don't vote to outlaw all abortion on a federal level, I'm not going to vote for you. Okay, then you're going to have Kamala that wants to kill babies up to the 9th month in every state. So they're having a little tantrum. And an example of where this tantrum came from, here's an interview with J.D. Vance. Let's take a look at it.
Democrats made the case this week and beyond this week that Donald Trump, if elected, will impose a federal ban on abortion if he wins. Now, Donald Trump says he won't, but can you commit, Senator, sitting right here with me today, that if you and Donald Trump are elected, that you will not impose a federal ban on abortion?
I can absolutely commit that, Kristen, and Donald Trump has been as clear about that as possible. I think it's important to step back and say, what has Donald Trump actually said on the abortion question, and how is it different from what Kamala Harris and the Democrats have said? Donald Trump wants to end this culture war over this particular topic. If California wants to have a different abortion policy from Ohio, then Ohio has to respect California and California has to respect Ohio. Donald Trump's view is that we want the individual states and their individual cultures and their unique political sensibilities to make these decisions because we don't want to have a nonstop federal conflict over this issue. The federal government ought to be focused on getting food prices down, getting housing prices down, issues, of course, where Kamala Harris has been a total disaster. So I think Donald Trump is right. We want the federal government to focus on these big economic and immigration questions. Let the states figure out their own abortion policy.
Let me just follow up with you a little bit on that point, because I've been talking to Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham just last week, who've made it very clear that if Donald Trump is elected, if you are elected, they will continue to press this point. Senator Graham said to me, I'm going to keep saying that there should be a federal ban. If such a piece of legislation landed on Donald Trump's desk, would he veto it?
I think it'd be very clear he would not support it. I mean, he
But would
said
he
that
veto it?
explicitly. Yeah, I mean, if you're not supporting it as the president of the United States, you
So
fundamentally
he would
have to veto it.
veto a federal abortion ban.
I think he would. He said that explicitly that he would.
One of the things that the Bible teaches, because a lot of this morality comes from the Christian Bible, and I agree with it. I think abortion is horrible. But Jesus instructed us we need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And that seems like a weird thing to say, the scary serpents. But what Jesus was saying, we will be like lambs among wolves. So there's a lot of evil people that want to harm us. So Jesus was basically saying, don't be stupid. You got to be smart on how you do things, but you got to have a spirit of a dove. So when you're smart and you have to be a little cynical, you have to understand how things are done, but have it with a good spirit to bring a good outcome. I believe that's what Jesus meant by that statement. And it really shows us with the whole abortion debate. What the interviewer did here, she posed a hypothetical that isn't going to happen. Likely, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be legislation passed the House and the Senate to ban abortion. First of all, Roe versus Wade has been overturned. The Supreme Court would say, no, this is a state matter. If you're going to do it on a federal matter, you may need a constitutional amendment. It's going to be a very difficult process. So this whole hypothetical is not really realistic. Okay, so you have to understand that. So when you have a hypothetical that's not realistic, it can turn into just a gotcha question. And the whole reason they're asking J.D. Vance this question, or Trump, is to hurt them politically. Because sadly in this country, with suburban white women, their number one issue is not the economy, it's not immigration, it's being able to butcher their children. I know this is sick, but that's where we are right now. Here's some of the polling data that shows us. This is the number one issue with white women. So if Trump and J.D. Vance are to win, they cannot have a hardline position on abortion that this hypothetical bill that will never come, they will sign. And the lady that's asking this is doing this to get all these women upset in these key battleground states so they will vote against Trump and J.D. Vance. So they're handling this in a careful way that won't defeat their election chances. And I know you should say, yeah, damn it, I will sign it. This hypothetical, I will sign it. Okay, they can do that. What will be the outcome of doing that? Just realistically, I'm going to ban all abortion on a federal level. Let's say Trump says that. Well, there's almost no way Trump and J.D. Vance will win then. They will definitely lose. It's going to be a close election as is, but that would make it impossible for them to win at this time. So what will the outcome be? Well, the outcome will be we have Harris and Walz in, and they want to make an amendment across all the states that you have to have abortion until the baby's basically born. So by holding to your principles and not supporting Trump and J.D. Vance and acting outrage, you are basically guaranteeing thousands of more babies will die. Now, they will die, but you get to feel virtuous. I guess if that makes you feel better. Oh, I'm so virtuous. I don't care if thousands of baby dies. I have my principles. Well, you have good for your principles, but they're in blood, right? There's a difference there. And this is an example of what I think Jesus was talking about, is you have to be wise as a serpent. So in this situation, to deal with this hypothetical that's not going to happen anyway, there's no reason for J.D. Vance saying, yes, we're going to ban abortion. And if we ever get to that situation where there is a bill that is put forward to ban abortion, well, maybe they can revisit it at that time. It would be a miracle, because to get to that point, you would have to fundamentally change the hearts of a lot of people in this country. And really, that's the main thing right now. And believe me, I'm pro-life and I'm sympathetic for pro-life people. Go out into your states, work at your state level. Some states are doing a great job on it, and continue to reach out with Christianity or your religion, or explaining why you think it's horrific to kill an innocent human life. A baby is its own person. It doesn't have the same DNA as a mother. It's a human life, and it's wrong to kill innocent human life. Have that message go out and change hearts and minds. Then you can have the legislation come through. Then this hypothetical legislation could be signed by Donald Trump. But we're not at that point, right? There's not the politics is downstream from culture, and we haven't changed the culture. Until we change the people, we're not going to get this mythical legislation. So this whole thing is just a stupid gotcha to prevent Trump from being president, which is dumb. They're doing this intentionally just to hurt Trump. So if you fall for this, all right, the guy that has done more to save babies' lives than anyone in American history, you're going to shit on him because he's not into this hypothetical purity spiral, which, by the way, you could change his mind. If it ever does happen and it's on his desk, I bet he would sign, but it's not going to be on his desk. So why make an issue about it? Again, be wise as a serpent. So we got to stop being stupid about everything. When you deal with politics, you deal with what you can get. You don't want perfection to be the enemy of good. Meaning, okay, if we can't have it all perfectly, fine. We're not going to have everything. We'll just go the Kamala Harris route and just butcher babies, and I'll have my principles. Well, yeah, meanwhile, there's blood everywhere with these babies. We got to do what's right, save as many children as we can. And that means not being stupid and petulant and upset that you're not getting 100% of what you want. They don't have the power to give you what you want at this point. They, meaning Trump or J.D. Vance or anyone, they need you to help change hearts and minds so there's more of a push where there is more of a majority supports this. Because in a democracy, you got to get the majority to support your position. Right now, this is not a popular position with most suburban white women. They want to be able to kill their babies. That's a big issue with them. It's sick, but that's where we are right now. And we got to deal with the reality. Talk to you guys later.